What happens when a casual interview turns into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime television history? Teddy Swims, the soulful singer who's taken the music world by storm, found himself in a conversation with Kelly Clarkson that went from friendly to explosive in a matter of minutes. Before we get into what actually went down, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what you think about this whole situation. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this plays out. The interview started like any other episode of the Kelly Clarkson show. The audience was energized, the kind of buzz that comes when a rising artist walks out to real applause, not polite clapping. Teddy Swims looked relaxed, dressed down, smiling easily as he waved to the crowd. Kelly greeted him warmly, clearly familiar with his music, and for a moment, everything felt natural. They talked about his tour, the response to his album, and the feeling of suddenly being recognized everywhere he went. Teddy spoke openly, thoughtful but comfortable, clearly enjoying the chance to talk about music instead of hype. When Kelly shifted the conversation toward his early days posting covers online, it still felt safe. Teddy explained how uncertain those years were, how he never knew if anyone was really listening, but how music kept him going. It was honest and relatable. Kelly listened closely, nodding, asking follow-up questions that felt engaged rather than rehearsed. Then her tone changed, subtly at first. She pressed him on timing, on whether moving from covers to original music had been a strategic choice, rather than an organic one. Teddy answered carefully, explaining that he waited until he felt ready and until people were paying attention. He framed it as patience, not calculation. Kelly did not let it go. She suggested that the shift looked deliberate, even savvy, and that in today's industry, that kind of planning mattered. The word strategy hung between them, and Teddy's posture shifted. He was still calm, but more guarded now. As Kelly pushed further, the conversation stopped feeling like curiosity and started feeling like interrogation. Teddy tried to clarify that having a plan did not make his music less real. Kelly countered by questioning where authenticity ends and branding begins. The audience sensed it too. The energy changed. What had been celebratory now felt tight, uncomfortable, and unpredictable. I remember watching this part and thinking the same thing many people probably did. Was this still a conversation, or had it become something else entirely? At that point, I honestly wondered whether I should keep following where this was headed or step back before it went too far. Should I make the next chapter or not? Kelly leaned in, no longer smiling, and asked Teddy when the bedroom singer became a product. That was the moment everything cracked. Teddy's voice tightened, not loud, but firm. He explained that he never set out to build an image, that singing online was survival, not marketing. Kelly acknowledged that, but pointed out that once success came, teams followed, labels followed, and perception became part of the job. She framed it as reality, not accusation. Teddy did not hear it that way. To him, it sounded like his entire journey was being reduced to manipulation. He pushed back, explaining that having support did not erase sincerity. Kelly responded by saying every artist makes compromises, and that he was not immune to that truth. The phrase, "you're not special," landed hard. The room went quiet. Teddy brought up Kelly's own past, how she had been labeled manufactured after winning a competition show. He thought she would understand what it felt like to have your authenticity questioned. Kelly shut that down immediately, telling him not to turn the conversation on her. From there, the exchange turned personal. Voices stayed controlled, but emotion bled through every sentence. Kelly insisted she was doing her job, asking real questions. Teddy said he felt disrespected. Kelly said discomfort was part of honest discussion. Teddy said there was a line between honesty and cruelty, and that line had been crossed. The audience sat frozen, unsure how to react. Even the crew behind the cameras seemed tense. When Kelly suggested that Teddy might not be ready for this level of exposure, he stood up, not dramatically, but decisively. He said he had been ready his whole life, just not for being treated like a fraud on national television. Kelly stood too, insisting this was journalism. Teddy laughed, not amused, and called it a hit piece. At that point, it stopped being about music or industry realities. It was about respect. Teddy said he was done defending his existence. Kelly told him he was being defensive, because there was truth in what she was saying. That was when the last bit of restraint disappeared. Watching it unfold, I found myself torn. I could see the argument on both sides. but I could also feel how deeply personal this had become. It made me pause and ask myself whether continuing to break this down was worth it, or if the situation had already said everything it needed to say. Should I make the next chapter or not? Teddy accused Kelly of trying to tear him down for ratings. Kelly bristled at that, saying she did not need manufactured drama. Teddy replied that there was a difference between being real and being cruel. The words landed with weight. Kelly argued that once music becomes a career, it becomes a product. Teddy rejected that framing entirely, saying music was how he processed life, not something he packaged and sold. Kelly called his view naive. Teddy said he would rather be idealistic than cynical. Kelly warned him that idealism does not protect artists from being exploited. Teddy answered that he would rather fail honestly than succeed by losing himself. The audience audibly reacted. That line changed the room. Kelly pointed out the contradiction. He was on a press tour, promoting an album, doing interviews. He was already in the system. Teddy agreed, but said being in it did not mean surrendering integrity. He accused Kelly of trying to trap him in a gotcha moment instead of having a real discussion about how hard it is to balance art and business. Kelly said he was protecting his image. Teddy said she was questioning his humanity. His voice cracked when he admitted how much it hurt. For a brief moment, Kelly softened, saying she was trying to challenge him, not wound him. Teddy asked who gave her the authority to judge someone else's journey. Kelly reminded him it was her show and that he agreed to real conversations. Teddy quietly said maybe coming on had been a mistake. That stopped her. She tried to reset, suggesting a break and a fresh start. Teddy refused. He said the problem was not tone, but respect. Producers moved closer. The atmosphere felt heavy, almost claustrophobic. Kelly warned him that walking off would look bad. Teddy said he could live with that. He could not live with staying silent while his integrity was questioned. At that moment, it felt inevitable. Still, I remember wondering whether there was anything left to say, or if the story had already reached its emotional end. Should I make the next chapter or not? Teddy apologized to the audience for the scene, explaining that sometimes walking away is the only way to protect yourself. A few people clapped quietly. Kelly did not like that. She accused him of turning the audience against her. Teddy said he was simply being honest, something she claimed to value. Kelly finally told him to leave if he was going to leave. Teddy nodded and did exactly that. As he walked toward the exit, a producer tried to stop him. Teddy waved them off and kept going. The cameras followed, capturing every step until he disappeared backstage. Kelly stood alone at center stage, visibly shaken, trying to regain control. She said the show would go to break. Her voice sounded tight. When the broadcast returned later, the tone was noticeably different. Something had shifted. Afterward, reactions poured in online. Some people praised Teddy for standing up for himself. Others accused him of being too sensitive. Some defended Kelly, saying tough questions are part of the job. Others felt she crossed a line and lost sight of empathy. What stuck with me most was not who won the argument, but how quickly a conversation can turn when trust breaks down. Two people with similar histories, both shaped by the same industry, ended up talking past each other instead of listening. That felt like the real loss. Sitting with it now, I still go back and forth. Was this necessary confrontation or unnecessary harm? Was anyone actually helped by how it played out? And maybe the biggest question for me is this. After everything that happened, after watching it unfold step by step, should I even be thinking about making the next chapter or not?